oh no, like there's a giant Chucky that chases you out.
That
It is
sounds awesome. I wish
it's
I could have seen a
so cool.
POV of that.
Right. It's like this like 8 foot tall Chucky that like very slowly lumbers at you and like it scares people so badly and you turn around and you run the other way. Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of the HHN Graveyard Show. This time we are going to be talking about the Universal Studios Japan event from Osaka, but as always, I'm not going to do it alone. I have my good friend SixBillium. Billy, how are you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. Anytime we can talk about HHN, it's a good time for me.
Always a good time, and it's an extra special time this time because two things. One, we had our first announcement for the upcoming year. We're not going to talk about it this time. We're going to talk about that next time.
The
And two,
keyword this time.
this time, right? And then number two, we're finally done with our 2025 reviews on the almost end of the third month of 2026. But hey, better late than never. It'll be better next year. But what's important is that we're done. So we'll keep moving on. Cool. Okay. So about Osaka. So we are going to start our little review, little recap, same way that we always do with this stuff. We're going to talk about some thesis statements, a little brief one sentence, 2 sentence, little kind of summation of our thoughts about the event before we get into more details. I'm going to go ahead and start this time around. So, if I were to give a thesis statement about Universal Studio Japan's Halloween Horror Nights in 2025, I would say um, this is the most unique Halloween Horror Nights event out of all of the ones around the world. But um, I am disappointed by the amount of reuse from year to year. I think that'll be where we can start a discussion later on. Billy, what do you think about this event not having had gone before?
Yes, again, I'm only going off of what I've seen from POVs and heard from you, but
Mhm,
I would agree that it does seem like the most unique HHN, but I don't know if
mhm,
that's necessarily the best thing. To me, Osaka feels more like a product or more like a showcase of events and IPs and Halloween and ideas than it does feel like a cohesive Halloween event. It kind of
mhm.
feels like just a big fun party, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but it's scattered and I'm not. But you know what I
Yeah,
mean. It feels very scattered and it feels like there's a lot of areas where they could have done something a little bit more with it, but did they need to? Is that what's going to sell? That's the question. And I don't
sure.
think it will. So I think what the event is what it needs to be for its clientele.
Sure, sure. Yeah, I think that is a very very astute statement there. Of I think this park is very tailored to Japan, whereas you could put Singapore's event in the states and they're relatively similar. You put Beijing's event in the states and they're relatively similar. You put ours in their park. You can all interchange them, but this event feels like super unique to its location, which
Mhm.
good, bad, we'll talk about our thoughts as we go along. Cool. Okay. Now that we've gotten our thesis statements out of the way, we are going to go through the houses, which is Chucky Carnival of Chaos or Carnage. One of the two.
Chaos, I
Chaos.
believe,
Okay.
yes.
Yeah, one of those C's. And then we're going to talk about the other one, the other house, which was Factory of Fear, Zombie Tour of Despair, something like that. Yeah, and then we'll go into the shows or the experiences, which is the Resident Evil Night of Heroes. We'll go into the weird like makeup demo almost, which is Kate presents the Witch of Number 18. And then there is a Hamikuma show. We don't know a ton about it because I didn't see it when I was there. I didn't feel like sitting in the still warm for like an hour or two to get a decent seat. Maybe I will this year. We'll talk about some ride overlays, some other stuff like that, and then we'll close it out with our final thoughts. Sound good?
Sounds good.
All right, cool. Let's start with the house. So, as I kind of alluded to, as I didn't allude to, I said it in my thesis statement. There's a lot of repetition. To give a little bit of background about my experience with this event, was I spent 3 nights here, 2 or 3 nights here, And I have gone in 2023, I went in 2024, and then I went this year in 2025. Um, Chucky's Carnival of Chaos has been there every single year that I have been there in more or less the same configuration. This isn't not Scary Fun where you can expect like some plussing to some degree from year to year, some changes. From what I remember, this is pretty much the same exact house, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. It's a fun haunted house, but it is the same. It's a traditional like a carnival maze. Let me talk about the entrance, and then Billy, I'm curious to get your thoughts about some of your favorite moments
Mhm.
from the house.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you my thoughts. So to start with the entrance, it's in one of their sound stages. Basically, imagine you're walking through Universal in Florida, and imagine you essentially turn left right before you get to the Despicable Me Minion Mayhem ride. That is pretty much there's in like, and you go into one of the sound stages back there. Like that is pretty much exactly where this is as well. When you go finally get into the soundstage, there's some queue outside. When you finally go into the soundstage, you end up um, entering this like kind of like broken down like carnival area. There's like missing posters on the wall.
Mhm.
I mean, you can probably see it in your head. But the coolest part, and unfortunately, the part they are super strict about no pictures. They yelled at me for like not having my phone out, like looking at my phone, like very obviously not taking a picture,
Mhm.
reading through whatever. There is I don't know if this was in any of the videos, but there's a character out there that has like this super cool, like gory, like monkey puppet. And like he
Ooh.
walks around and like, you know, scares people so badly when he makes the little monkey, grab at
Mhm.
people. And then eventually you end up entering this circus, Chucky circus, lots of Chucky, lots of Tiffany. Yeah, I think that's kind of the entrance. Billy, what kind of stood out to you about this haunted house in particular?
So the first thing that I noticed is that, Chucky always gets the short end of the stick. Chucky always feels like he's the fall guy for, oh, we need a quick theme for something. Let's just put Chucky there.
Mhm.
Hollywood, sorry for more Hollywood slander. Hollywood did it back in the day, just slapping a few more Chuckies in their uh permanent house of horrors and calling it something new for the season, which it really wasn't. And two more that's not exactly what I see here, but I see a pretty decent, Cedar Fair, Six Flags type of carnival haunt with your classic black light and black hallways paint. It looks fun with some cool set pieces, but then they're like, you know what? Let's add some Chucky in here. Um, and they added a lot of Chucky. I
That's a
liked
lot of
that
Chucky.
it didn't. I like that Chucky, even though he felt like an afterthought, he didn't necessarily feel like an afterthought, if that makes sense. Like, it doesn't necessarily feel like a wholly Chucky haunt, but there's enough references and posters of the characters, mannequins, maybe some animatronics. I couldn't really tell. But, Glenn, Tiffany, Chucky, there's tons of them. So it doesn't feel like they just built a haunt and put some Chucky stuff on it. Kind of feels like they built two different houses and merged them into one, if that makes sense.
Right, right. I think that you take out the Chuckies and then it's just a circus hunt. So, which that is what it is. Did you see the ending?
Not with
Oh,
actors, really.
okay, okay.
And say you gotta
Oh,
tell me
okay,
about the ending because a lot of the POVs kind of just cut off halfway through
okay.
for the final few scenes.
There's a reason why.
Ooh, okay.
So the second year that this came back, I was like, "Oh, okay, like, I really enjoyed this, like, it's fun." I have seen more people, like, knocked down by
Mhm.
fear in this house more than anything else, which, A, is a function of just, like, Japan being Japan, like, very scared, but then the second it is a function of the house. So, you go through, did you see that there's a big, like, melted plastic it's, like, big it's either a puppet or an animatronic. I can't totally remember. Did you see that in the POVs?
No, I did
Okay.
not. I
Okay.
say I saw Chucky on a cannon. I saw some weird,
Yep.
stretchy, like clown
Yep.
guy peoples, a
Mhm.
few giant good guy boxes.
Yep. Okay. So yeah, this is towards the end. It's big. It's probably 10 feet tall. It like
Mhm,
towers above you and it moves a little bit. I don't know if it's a puppet or an animatronic, but that's cool. Then, um, so they kind of pulse you through in like 6 to 8 person groups.
mhm,
So you're walking through. It's pretty standard Halloween Horror Nights haunt. Maybe the scares are a little bit more telegraphed. There's less like boo boxes jump out at you and more like, oh, there's an actor just kind of standing along that maybe a lunges a little bit, but they're kind of in the open, until you eventually get to a split. It's like a T-shaped junction, and it splits. And there's an attendant at the merge point of the T
mhm,
that splits you into it sends you either to the right or to the left. You end up queuing up essentially, and you're 2 by 2. You're too wide.
mhm.
You and then the
2?
pulsed group ahead of you or behind you. You join your pulses.
Mhm.
So there's 10, 12 people roughly standing there. You're kind of standing there. They're saying something in Japanese. Don't ask me what it is, but they're saying something. And then you're facing one direction, and all of a sudden, like the guide like screams or something and points to the back, and you turn around and like, oh no, like there's a giant Chucky that chases you out.
That
It is
sounds awesome. I wish
it's
I could have seen a
so cool.
POV of that.
Right. It's like this like 8 foot tall Chucky that like very slowly lumbers at you, and like it scares people so badly, and you turn around and you run the other way.
The only acceptable use of Chucky that's over doll size.
All right, right. It's really cool. But that didn't scare people the most in the haunted house though.
Ooh.
So it is a 3D house as well. They give you the 3D glasses as you enter. When you are going just about ready to leave the soundstage and you go to drop your little glasses in the receptacle, the recycling, there's a little window above that. And the first time I did it, I was like, I've seen enough stateside Halloween Horror Nights to know that's a boo box. And so like I kind of deliberately like held back a little bit to see if someone else would do it, so they could get scared,
Mhm.
because I kind of knew it was coming. And yeah, as you go to drop your glasses in the receptacle, there's a final Chucky that jumps out, and like I legitimately have seen like multiple, like probably more than on one hand and maybe not quite on two hands, people like actually fall over
That's
because they're so
incredible.
scared. It was those are the best 2 moments of this haunted house.
Lower everyone lets their guard down at the end. That's a
Right.
good reminds me of the Texas Chainsaw in 2016 when they had the leather faces in between the two sprung tents when you were walking back.
Mhm,
Everybody
mhm.
forgot they were there and then
Right.
on the ground. That's
Right, right.
cool.
It was
Good.
it was awesome. So,
Chucky
yeah.
deserves more good moments like that. So I'm happy to hear that.
Right, right. It was good. And the first time I went through it, I was shocked. I was just like amazed. Like it was really good. It shocked me that ending was so good. The second time I enjoyed it, the third time was like, okay, now I'm tired of it. Like, come
Yeah.
on. Like let's do something else. Especially cuz in 2024 it was the only haunted house.
Ooh.
So, yeah. Not good. But yeah, that's kind
Yeah.
of what I think about it.
Yeah, for somebody who likes haunted houses, this would be a very interesting event for me to attend.
Right. Right. Yeah. The haunted houses are definitely not the focal point. We will spend some more time talking about the scare zones. And we can do that after the houses, honestly.
Yeah.
The scare zones are the focus here. The zombies are the focus here, not the haunted houses, which makes it probably unique among all the horror nights.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Mhm.
But it sounds like both of them are pretty good,
Yeah, yeah,
more or less.
definitely pretty good. Yeah, more or less. Look, yeah, you have any more thoughts about this? Are we ready to move on to
Yeah,
Factory of Fear?
I think that's about sums it up. Take a little bit of maybe Dr. Radfellow and
Mhm.
good old classic Chucky and your favorite black light in 3D and kind of
Mhm.
throw it in a blender, and that's kind of what you get.
More or less. Right. Cool. Okay. Next and the last haunted house is going to be Zombie Factory of Fear, something like that. This was basically, imagine inside of Universal Florida, imagine if you were going into like where the Despicable Me gift shop is right now, like that building, or yeah, that building is probably the best way to put it. Um, this one is it's an original, which is very cool. Um, this is my first Japan original. So let me kind of set the backstory again. They're super strict about recording and video and pictures inside of even similarly. There's an outdoor queue, then you get inside. There's a television that's playing the setting essentially.
Mhm.
And this time it was in English, or it was at least subtitled in English, so I understood what was going on. I wanted to take pictures, want to take video of it because there's not a whole lot out there, but I couldn't. So you're gonna have to take my word for it. Essentially, the backstory is that this doctor, if I remember right, her name was Doctor Corpse Cleaver. She ended up coming up with this serum. It was an acronym. It was brain rot. I don't remember what what it stood for, but that's what it was.
Sounds like a
Brain
political statement.
right. Brain reanimation something something. I don't remember, something like that. She ends up inventing this, and she says that these zombies are going to be used for like entertainment purposes. Like from the vibe I got was like Westworld, if you've seen Westworld, something like that. And there's a lot of controversy and stuff, and she's kind of having a tour of this factory where she's making, she's taking dead bodies and reanimating them with the brain rot, and we are coming in to see it. And essentially, the second part of the video was the backstory for they had all sorts of hand panels, so panels about waist high, that looked like they were like fake touch screens, and they had an outline of a hand, red hand, and then a green hand next to each other.
Mhm.
And they said that the green hand was essentially, it like paused the zombies, and then red like stopped the zombies or something like that.
Yeah, I
Um,
noticed in the POVs that there was the different, like, consoles that people were
right. Yeah,
popping.
touching. Right. And basically the video said like whatever you do not touch them both at the same time. So you can probably imagine, there's not a whole lot of POVs for this one, even less so. So I'll try to talk through it a little bit. So you go into the first room. There's a worker there. The worker greets you. Again, all in Japanese. I don't understand, but I can intuit that he's kind of, oh look, this is the stuff, this is a zombie, see how docile they are, this is the way that we do it, blah blah blah. Until he eventually like loses his balance and falls and catches his fall by putting both hands on the little panel. And then it all goes crazy. And then one thing they do like to do in Japan that they've done in the past before, including in Chucky, is a zombie comes out and chases you out of the room. You end up walking through a bunch of like kind of like generic-y like factory, bunches of zombies, and then yeah, I think that is kind of an introduction. Anything that really stood out to you before I talk about the finale, unless you want to talk about it if you saw it. I don't remember if it was in a POV.
Nah, I didn't get too much, but I
Okay.
will say, it did look like there was a little bit of a pre-show at the beginning with
Yep.
uh, with the scientist, but I this one actually looked really cool to me.
Mhm.
It kind of gave me, Hellblock horror vibes, but better. Maybe Hellblock horror with some major suites with the factory vibes
Mhm.
from the scenic
Mhm.
design. But a
Mhm.
lot of those, stone walls that we saw in Hellblock with the whatever language and whatnot
Mhm.
was painted on it. Clearly not the
Right.
same thing, but that kind of vibe. But the costuming in this one really stood out to me. It looked like a lot of the zombies had not extra appendages, but um Dr. Satan from House of a
Mhm.
Thousand Corpses, how he had his little like get up robotic get up and stuff.
Mhm.
They had a lot of extra attachments to their costumes, a lot of moving
Right.
parts, at least from what I could see. A lot of them almost felt like half zombie, half cyborg, and they kind of translated that into their movements. A lot of them were super animated, jumped out a lot. They kind of fit in with the factory setting, with the wiring and the other kind of mechanical components that I saw in the costumes. Um, but that's really what stood out to me. There was the one moment that I thought was really cool was there was the one that looked like he was like tangled in a bunch of wires
Mm, mhm,
and he
mhm.
was playing around with those. So I
Right.
wouldn't necessarily say there was too many scenes that really stood out to me so much as it just looked like a really good cohesive experience with vibes that traveled through the entire thing.
Right. Did you see the ending with the big zombie?
Nope.
Okay.
Nope. Everything cuts off before that,
Nah.
unfortunately.
They left out the finale, yeah. Uh-huh. So the finale of this one is you end up going into a room, you see like a test tube, a big test tube, like Mewtwo from like Pokemon movie
Or eight
test
foot
tube.
Chucky.
Or 8 foot Chucky, right? Big test tube. Then the zombie or the scientist gets up there and like says something in Japanese, and I can again intuit based on what people around me are doing. He's basically telling you to like there's a bunch of the different panels around the room, and now he's telling us for whatever reason is lost in translation, but he's now telling us to like go and like touch both of the panels, all of them at the same time. And so we all go do that, and then the lights go out. There's some smoke around this big test tube, and the test tube like breaks, and the zombie like doesn't come out. He doesn't move at all,
Mhm.
but like I think his head moves around a little bit. So it's a pretty cool ending. And then just like in Chucky, there is a scare as you walk past. You're just about to exit. There's another panel, and like naturally being humans, we want to touch the last panel, and when you touch the last panel, there was someone that jumped out and scared you. So mhm.
I do like the idea though that both of these haunts really do build towards a really exciting finale, and it's more than just a really good haunted house. It's more of a experience, I guess I would say, because I think back at even HHN Orlando last year, like how many finales of the haunts were really so much better than anything else in the haunt. And I really can't think of even my favorites, the good finales, but not really something that, puts the rest of the haunt to shame. And I
Right.
maybe like to see something like this make it stateside, where it's this
Mhm.
big, huge buildup, and then you're leaving like not like that was such a great haunt, but you're like, that was such a cool moment, and that's the last
Right.
thing that you remember.
Right. Builds up to, yeah, this big climax. Right. Yeah. I thought that the makeup of this was the best at the event. Out of two, it doesn't really mean a whole lot, but um, this was a lot of fun. I thought this was definitely my favorite of the two. But that's also because I have done Chucky a lot more, so I'm kind of tired of it. But it was fun, and I'm glad to see a second haunted house because last year was not great with just
Yeah, that sounds unfortunate,
one. Oh, thank you.
especially with how presumably crowded the streets get
Oh,
with guests.
always this park. Yeah, if you haven't been to USJ, it is insanely packed all the time, and it's just like not fun. Um, it like legitimately gets to the point of just like, why am I here? Like everything has like a 2 hour wait, and it's hot and it's humid, and like I'm like not having fun. Like there were legitimately some times where it's just like, man, like this is not enjoyable to be here, like shoulder to shoulder, hot. But yeah, it's better. It's good that they have as many houses as possible to just try to spread out these crowds.
Yeah, I would agree with that
Mhm.
from what I can tell.
Sure, but yeah, okay, cool. Do you have anything else, or we go off to scare zones?
No, yeah, let's go to the shows since that's kind of what USJ seems like
Right,
it shows and scare zones. That seems to be what the
right.
event
Okay,
really or what most people talk about. Most people stateside I hear talk about these things.
right. Let's talk about the scare zones first. So, unlike what in past reviews and stuff, I have said that like the Mel's die-in zombies in Orlando are or even like some of the entry Hollywood zones are very like Japanese scare zones. Japan's scare zones, there are like 7 or 8 around the park. It's like in their Jurassic Park area, in their Hollywood area, in their San Francisco area, in their New York area, all over the park,
Mhm.
by their lagoon, and they all have different themes. But there are no, or basically no, props. There might be like one set of like cages that sometimes the characters be in. There's a sign that says, cursed toys, or whatever. Other than that, no props. Um, just the characters, probably 10 or 12 characters per zone, walking around, wandering around.
So more like hordes almost.
Yeah, yeah, not unlike that. Yeah, they're confined to their area. But I mean, tell me about the what is the most Japanese thing that they do?
I don't know. Stand shoulder to shoulder.
No, their dances.
Oh yes, of course, the zombie dances. Forgot about that. These these actors have fun on the streets. I noticed, it's stateside. We get actors that'll do their little bits with each other, and they'll have fun in the whatever, and then they'll run off. These guys will go at it for like 10 minutes at a time. It seems like in some of these videos, they're just committed to interacting with each other and doing all this just weird stuff. But it's kind of hard to look away.
Right. So at set times through the night, I want to say every 30 minutes or every 45 minutes, maybe 45, I don't know. At set times throughout the night, basically all around the park, the scary music stops and they have the one song that comes on, and all of the actors will stop and they will dance and then do their dance, and it's the same dance every time. It's not improvising. It is a dance because like 20% of the guests that are around it, and probably like unironically like 50% of the Japanese people, because there are a lot of tourists in this park, but like 50% of the Japanese people will stop and do the dance with them. So
It's wild.
it is the most Japanese thing of all time, which
Said
is
it
funny.
feels more like a party or an experience than an actual Halloween event. And I think that's this feels like one of the big contributing factors. Which again, not necessarily a bad thing, but the one thing that really makes it stand out.
Different. Yeah. 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 I think that's a really good way to put it, because I unlike the scare zones elsewhere where there's a lot of like movement, um in the sense of with people are
Mhm.
walking through and you get scared and then you just keep moving. Maybe people like us will stop and just kind of sit and enjoy, just kind of watch. But um in Japan they really like they form a ring around these characters, and
Oh
these
yeah.
characters just like walk around their little oval and like kind of like lunge at people here and there throughout the oval. there's it's hard sometimes to get through the areas because there's just like 5 or 6 little ovals throughout it, and like it's very different. It's very weird. Yeah. And
Makes me
it's
think of all the metal concerts I go to where they're like,
Mhm.
let's make a circle pit. And then unsuccessfully, there's like four that just pop up in various parts of the crowd.
Right,
That's
right,
that's what I'm thinking of.
right, right. And it's a little frustrating too
Oh
because
yeah.
yeah, it's always just so crowded and stuff. But what are some of are there any of the costumes or themes that really kind of stood out to you, that really caught your eye?
Well, for those who haven't been to USJ, this is kind of like a combination of studios and islands of adventure because they do have the
Right,
Jurassic Park area.
right.
They're I can't
Super
remember one of the
Nintendo,
areas off the top of my yeah.
Harry
But
Potter. But
I
they have the San Francisco, New York, Hollywood of studios.
yes, but I did notice in Jurassic Park some people
Ooh,
hiding in the bushes and
right. Uh-huh.
camouflaging, which
Uh-huh.
is always welcome for me. I love it when they actors do that. Again, very hard to kind of get some good footage or see some good footage of these because there's ovals everywhere. But what a lot of the stilt walking costumes were very cool. I saw
Mhm.
one big giant spider one. There's this
Yep.
like bone creature. I don't even know what you would call it.
That's the one in Jurassic Park. It's,
Yeah.
like, right in front of its Discovery Center. That one's
Yes.
really cool.
Yeah, that guy looked awesome. He's
Mhm.
got like the stuff hanging from him and it jangles when he's walking. That looks scary.
Right, for sure. Yeah, that was really good. Yeah, all of the different zones definitely had their, like, they had, like, 1 or 2, like, designated, like, stilt walker people.
Yeah.
Um, let me think of if I can remember, if I can, like, detail the zones. So, yeah, Jurassic Park was kind of, a yeah, like, tribal, like,
Yeah.
bones, like, that kind of vibe. Um, San Francisco was just kind of like maniacs.
Say, was
They
that
were
like the asylum kind of ish looking one?
mm, yeah, maybe there's also like the like asylum jumpsuit
Mhm.
chainsaw
Oh
people,
yeah,
which
the
is down the
like the
main
prisoner.
drag. Yeah, the prisoners. That's the main drag. The main like entrance.
Mhm.
Um, like the illumination land in Florida, basically. Yeah, I don't know. They're just kind of like crazy people. Then inside of New York, like Sting Alley is vampires. Um, there's toys basically where like Transformers is in Florida. There
Oh
is
yeah, because they had like the backwards masks on a few of them, right? The
right.
porcelain masks. So
Mhm,
yeah, those
mhm.
guys were cool.
Ooh, was it? Then there was also one over by like where Twister was, Fallon is, in Florida. That was toys. I don't remember there was one behind where Transformers is, and then yeah, Clowns in Hollywood.
Yep, I was
I
gonna
think
say
that
clowns in Hollywood. How original.
right. Uh-huh. Right. But I guess so my favorite part, I don't know how much of this came across in the video.
Hmm.
The coolest part that really kind of so these are fine. These scare zones are fine. I don't like them that much. I like haunted houses more. Um,
Right.
unless I love the Singapore scare zones. Don't get me wrong. I think those are the heart of that event. But these are fine. There is a lot more like depth to them than meets the eye. So basically, you have like 50% of the scare zones are monsters, and then the other 50% is like I think they're good guys, and they wear like white coats almost, and they carry like blasters, like laser weapons, like light up laser weapons, and then they go and they like fight the different monsters in all of the different zones,
Okay,
and
yeah,
they're
I did see a little bit of that.
and there's some sort of story behind it. I don't know what it is because it's all in Japanese when they talk. So then there are a handful of places throughout the event. There are like guard towers,
Mhm.
and the good guys stand at the top of the guard towers and say stuff in Japanese. And they're giving some like story exposition, obviously, and I just don't speak enough to know. But there is more depth and like a linked storyline throughout the park that goes over my head, but I think it really like enhanced my like appreciation for the zones.
Yeah, I think that's definitely something that yeah, that sounds very cool. And for the lack of having with a lack of actual street props, having more focus on an actual story makes sense, and that almost in a sense makes up for it.
Right. Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, I think then I'm trying to think of what is my favorite. I didn't have a whole lot more to say. What is my favorite of the areas? Jurassic Park is hard to get pictures of just because the paths are relatively narrow. The vampires were also tough because Sting Alley, or like the streets by like the Film Vault store in studios are also fairly narrow. I really liked the toys over by their old Terminator in Florida that is Fallon.
Mhm.
I really like the toys. I think is probably my favorite. I really enjoyed like a lot of the costumes. Yeah, the porcelain. They have a big stilt walker over there. There seemed to be like a little bit more space to kind of maneuver and not have to feel like there are 1,000 people right on top of me. I think that's probably my favorite. Do you have a favorite of them?
It's basic, but Jurassic Park
Okay.
looks the
Okay.
coolest to me. Like I said,
Mhm.
anywhere where the actors can blend in with the foliage and kind of have fun with that. I love outdoor scenes in haunted houses. I guess I just love outdoor scenes when they're outdoors too.
Right. Makes sense. Makes total sense. Cool. I think that's about all I have to say. I think this is really the heart of the event.
Mhm.
The Japanese people really, really seem to like it. Um, I don't as much.
I
So
don't go to HHN for the scares. I go for the
right.
synchronized dancing.
There you go.
Maybe the stateside fans can learn how to not swarm characters to the point of
Wow.
harassment from this event.
We do it in California just fine.
That's true. That is true.
Mhm.
Orlando. Oh,
Right.
sorry. Ugh.
Right. But yeah, okay. We'll move on. We'll talk about shows and experiences now. First, let's briefly talk about there is a Hamikuma show. It happens on their main stage. I didn't see it. Um, it exists though. It's not on the wiki. It exists. I don't have much to say. It's Hamikuma. They love Hamikuma. Um, I think I mentioned in the Beijing episode, the Hamikuma verses have diverged.
Mhm.
Um, Beijing has a couple of Hamikuma characters that Osaka doesn't. Osaka has Hamikuma Punk, Hamikuma Soul, and then Hamikuma Candy, I think. Pink, white, and gray, not respectively, reversed
Right.
respectively. Um, they get up there, they sing, they dance. Maybe this year I'll actually sit and wait. We'll see.
2 hours for.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Like seriously, like as soon as it happens like every like hour and a half, and as soon as one show ends, there will be people that will be waiting, and they will move to the front and they will sit down until the next show starts an hour and a half later. And it's like, I have 2 nights here. Do I really want to spend an hour and a half sitting and waiting to get a good seat?
To see some people dance. And I'm sure
Right.
there's more to it than that, but it what you would imagine a Hamikuma show is exactly what it is.
Dancing and a bear jumping around. Right.
Yep.
Right.
Yay.
It exists. Okay, moving on to the IP that I really hope is in Orlando this year, but I don't think is going to be. Resident Evil Night of Heroes. So in 2023, my first year that I went, there was this fantastic Resident Evil haunted house experience that was very similar to Zombie and more like Chucky, where you walked through, like zombies would chase you out of rooms. There was a finale where you had to you they were basically like mounted little guns, little, and then you
Mhm.
had to go, every person went to their own gun, and there was a screen in front, and a monster came on the screen, and you had to take your gun and shoot the monster on the screen. And then if you all managed to shoot the monster, then you got a card. It's somewhere in my apartment, I don't know where it is, that said like you survive, like the end of a Resident Evil game.
Yep.
And then if you didn't, you got died. I remember you also had to have, they told you a code at the beginning of the game, and then you had to tell the guide. There was a employee that walked with you, a guide, the code at the end, and the code was in Japanese, and I didn't understand it. And they're like saying it, and it's the same word from the beginning to the end, so like I can like recognize the same word happening, and it's like, guys, didn't you listen? Like, I have an excuse why I didn't listen. I don't understand the language. Why didn't you listen? But
Oh, it's funny.
it was good. Unfortunately, it didn't come back in 24. In 24, we got this same show, Resident Evil Night of Heroes. This happens essentially in between like their like New York and SF section. It's a little longer than it is in studios in Florida,
Mhm.
but it's essentially there. Um, this is a you can find, I think, plenty of videos online, including one of mine. This year was great because last year was all in Japanese. This year the last two of the night were in English,
Yep.
so all the actors were talking in English. All your favorite Resident Evil characters would get on stage. You were in the middle, and they basically had the stage all around you. There are zombies kind of wandering around the side. They shoot the zombies. There's water, blood that goes up. You get kind of wet. um it was fun. Do you have any thoughts about it?
I mean, maybe my thoughts are different seeing it from a screen, but
Okay.
this seems like one of the coolest things that any
Ooh.
HHN has done.
Okay.
Like, it's essentially, take the finale of Resident Evil and put it in like the Hollywood backlot or something, and
Right.
you're just in the War of the Worlds set. Well, there's a Resident Evil
Mm.
play happening all around
Mhm,
you. So you've
mhm,
got
mhm.
theatrical scares, you've got stunts, you've got, the lesser zombies that are just kind of there for fodder and to
Mhm.
scare you or to get up at close and personal when you're not expecting it. But if they could find a way to make this a higher throughput type attraction, and I don't want to say commercialize it a little more, but I think this is a super awesome experience and something that you really can't get outside of a major theme park like Universal. I don't think anyone else could do something like this. And I would love to see it come stateside or be expanded upon, or even have maybe 2 or 3 of these experiences a year, because man, it just looks so cool.
Right, right,
Like
and
being in the middle of Waterworld almost.
yeah, yeah, I think that that's a great way to say it. This is not a show that you just sit and you watch the show. This is a show that you are in the middle. There, if you're not like in the middle of the crowd, if you're on the edges of the crowd, there are zombies that will like come right up to you and like growl at you a little bit. You will get wet. Classic Universal. You will get wet. There are times when Nemesis is the big guy, right? I think that's the
Yes.
name of the big monster. The Nemesis will come and he will, wave his big gun all over, and spray the crowd. And all the actors are saying, get down, get down. You have to, lean, crouch down to not get, quote unquote hit
Yeah.
by the Nemesis's bullets. It is not a show. It's definitely not a haunted house, but it's somewhere in the middle, which is cool.
It's almost kind of like old school Universal rides, like something between like Jaws or Confrontation, but if you were to translate that into a walking experience, in a
Right,
sense.
right. No screens. That's what you're
Yeah, no
saying.
screen. Yeah, that's all I'm saying. No screens.
Right. Yeah. Physical effects, all of the characters you know and love, um, and yeah, just a good time.
Yeah, looks cool. Can't wait to see it one day.
Right. Right. I will say I do enjoy it. I don't want to talk down about it. I think that my opinions about it are a little bit lessened because I this was the what I thought was going to be the second haunted house last year. In 24 in Japan,
Yeah.
sorry. And it wasn't like quite a haunted house, and I was a little upset about that. But for what it is, like it is very good. Like don't misunderstand me. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. From the best show slash experience to
The
the
best
weirdest.
show.
Yeah, something like that. The weirdest one. Let's talk about Kate Presents, which Kate is a makeup brand. I definitely knew that before I looked that up. Um, Kate Presents The Witch of number 18, house number 18, somewhere in there. So this is essentially, imagine you walk into studios, you get right in, and then you like basically make like a hard left like as soon as you get in the gates. And then it's a little soundstage. Um, Kate is a makeup brand. Billy, you watched a walkthrough of this, right? Do you want to talk
Yeah,
about
from what I
it?
could tell, this was very hard to film, but you kind of go in this big or you get introduced in this big common area or something like that. That kind of tells the story of these two witches and their something to do with your emotions. Again, story
Right,
lost in translation. But
right,
then you get peeled off into what, individuals or groups of two or something, and you all kind of get
right.
sent off into your own little theaters, maybe to
It's a photo booth
yeah, I was gonna say,
essentially.
it's like a
Mhm.
photo booth where
Yeah,
the these witches or sinister and surreal, whatever you want to call them, kind
something.
of do some Disney style visuals on a magic mirror
Right,
while doing something, and then you
right,
get makeup at the end, or you get a
right,
card that shows you what your makeup profile should be, and
right.
then you can go do your makeup or something like that. Again, it's kind of hard to. A lot of this was lost in translation on me, but it it seems like a very universal Osaka type of event, not something that us here stateside would be interested in.
Right. I was trying to look through that card that he mentions. I had it on my desk at one point. I don't know where it went, unfortunately. But yeah, yeah, I think Billy mostly captured it. There's a little hallway that you walk into in the beginning. They have like plaques or paintings or something on the wall that get illuminated by light. They say something in Japanese. What it is, I don't know. You walk into like a main room that has like test tubes and stuff on the table. There's more Japanese. You go into these photo booths. Essentially, I went by myself. For the video watchers, I'll be showing some of the clips. I think I ended up recording this instead of taking pictures. Um, and they basically, I think it's subtitled, and they basically say like, give us your, happy face, something with emotions. Give us your sad face. Give us your, this, that, and the other. And then you go to walk out. And you stop by like a table that has a person behind it, and they give you like a little like not even like Polaroid, but like laser jet like printed
Yep.
picture
That's
from
super
whatever
cool.
the most emotional one was. um, and then you can either leave right away, or if you go to your right when you're leaving, there was an entire long room with a bunch of mirrors and a bunch of like makeup samples that you can try if you so desired. Um, Shocker, I didn't. So I know. This face is all natural. Who would have guessed? Um, but yeah, it was weird. It was weird. It was
Your
fun.
mileage may vary.
All right, it was something to do. I'm glad I did it. I don't feel a need to do it again.
And I appreciate that it was something unique. Even if it
Right.
wasn't something for me, I'm sure that there's a lot of people who probably got something out of this experience.
Right.
Literally and figuratively, I
Right.
suppose,
Right.
actually.
They
But
had little lipstick samples that they gave out. So.
not I would have worn that lipstick. I would have rocked it the rest of the night. I would have had fun with it,
uh,
but I don't feel like my sentiments would have changed very much. I feel like I would still be leaving going, I have no idea what that was, but it was
right.
weird and I guess I kind of liked it, but I don't know if I
Right.
ever need to do it again.
That is 100% the way I felt about things. I walked out like, "Oh, that was a thing that happened. It was weird. I'm glad I did it. Don't want to do it again." So,
One of the things of all time.
true, true. Yeah. Yeah, anything else to say about that, or
No, not
yeah,
really.
me neither. Okay. Let's talk about some like ride overlays, stuff like that. Japan is also very big on some of these ride overlays. First, I will say I didn't put it on our show notes. They have Jurassic Park in the Dark, which, from my understanding, was a big thing in Hollywood back before the world transformation. But
Back in my
um,
day.
yeah, well, before my day, I started going in 19. But yeah, back in your day, um, I did that this time because I had an express pass for it. It was Jurassic Park in the dark. Who would have guessed?
Wow.
It was fun, but yeah. Then the returning bi-coastal, bi-country thing was Chainsaw Man. The same Chainsaw Man show that was in Hollywood is in Japan again. It's the same show. So
Wow, I would have never guessed Universal reusing properties. That's
no,
crazy.
surely not. Surely not. But it is. So, I mean, we talked about it at decent length in our Hollywood episode. Do you have anything to say about it? Because I don't.
Mm, nope. Not
Okay.
something for me. And again, that's okay. I'm glad people get enjoyment out of it, but I want something a little more horror for my horror nights.
Right. I sent Billy the meme of the character or the person sitting at the back of the party saying like they don't know that and like they don't know that I saw this in Hollywood.
No, no, that was
Right.
I was laughing. I was ROFLing. Yes,
As the
that's the
kids say.
correct.
Uh-huh. Right. Raffle Mawang.
Well,
Uh-huh. Right. But it was a thing that happened. The cool part is so the smiley character that was in the intro for the Hollywood one in the intro and in the show too. They had a walk around character for Smiley in Japan, which is cool. I think I saw him walking around one day. I didn't see him like actually like meeting and greeting because I would have actually been tempted to go like take a picture with Smiley, but I didn't. Um, yeah, that's okay. Then finally, talking about the last ride overlay, before we briefly touch on some of the daytime stuff, which I like a lot more. They have a ride called Space Fantasy. It's basically where like Rip Ride Rocket was. It's in a bunch of sound stages there. Um, it rarely runs as Space Fantasy, which is just like a outer space ride. They do an overlay for it every single year. The first year I went, the first year I went was The Ring, Sadako. Um, that was cool. I didn't understand a word of it, but it was cool. It was, dark and scary. The VHS tape, all of that. The second year I went, I want to say it was Demon Slayer, but I don't know. I don't remember for certain.
Mhm.
This year I do remember was Spy Family. I don't know if you're up to date on your anime.
Ah,
Um, okay, yeah. An ex girlfriend really liked it, and she wanted me to watch it. And it's about a family that the mother and the father are spies, and then it's about like a kid. It was cute. It was fine. I didn't do it this time. This always gets crazy lines, and I didn't feel like waiting for anime that I don't particularly care about. Not that I particularly care about any anime, but especially this one. So
there you go.
yeah, I don't have a whole lot to say about that either, because I didn't do it, but it exists.
It exists.
It exists, right? Okay, we are under time, so I will just take another minute or two and talk about my favorite. Yeah, we're under time.
Wow.
Whoa,
Well,
is that even
the
possible?
took us to the final episode of our reviews.
Right.
We're getting better, guys. We're getting better. Here's your
For
proof.
sure, for sure. But the coolest part, my favorite part about the entire event is during the day they have. I'm a big Pokemon fan, and they have a bunch of the different ghost Pokemon that
Ooh.
come out and do a little show, a little song and dance with the catchiest song you've ever heard in your life. It was stuck in my head like multiple days. And you can take your picture with the little Pokemon, and they have. My favorite part is they're basically where Monsters Cafe was in studios. They have a restaurant, and they do an overlay for Pokemon every year, and they have the cutest like themed food of all time. This time I had a Banette cake, and it was so cute, and like I got like a pumpkaboo like pumpkin pot pie. Like I'll show pictures of it here
We should have just done
for
the
video
podcast
people.
on the Pokemon food.
I would have been so in for that. Every single year they have something new, so I try it every single year, and I love it.
That's what's gonna
Um,
get me to the event. Let's be real.
hey, hey, if that's what it takes, yeah, it's fun. Except it's hot, and I don't want to stand and wait for the Pokemon, but I kind of do. So, yeah, I think we've run through the entire event. Um, Give me your kind of closing thoughts about this event as a whole. Anything that really like you thought they did well, thought they did poorly.
you know, a,
What are your thoughts?
a fun experience. As basis as that sounds, that's what the vibes I get from USJ. More of an experience than an event that you're waiting months and months to go to. Um, but again, costumings, or costuming, not only in the streets but also in the houses, seems like some of the best that I've seen in or in these episodes, I guess I should say. Better than a lot of the stateside stuff we get.
Right.
Great, great, great costumes. Two strong haunts, even if they aren't conceptually, the most interesting ideas. Maybe a little too much focus on pop culture that isn't horror related. A little too much anime, a little too much non-horror anime, and
Good way to
bubblegum
put
pop
it.
that seems to permeate throughout it. But again, I think Resident Evil looked like such a cool scare
Yeah.
zone show type experience. So even if it's something that's, it's something completely different from the HHN that you're used to. Some of it's better, some of it's maybe not as good, but it's still, I think, something that you need to be able to see so you can maybe appreciate what you have at home a little bit more.
Right. I think that's perfectly fair. Oh, I should also say they have they have a Hollywood Dream the ride, which is in their
Oh yeah.
Hollywood section, big like mini B&M hyper. They have a special song on it for Halloween, like made by like some of like the more popular like Japanese pop acts. Um,
Not Midnight Syndicate.
Not Midnight Syndicate, right? Uh-huh. Yeah, I think that yeah, you kind of hit it on the head. It's a unique event. There's nothing else quite like it. The scare zones are like by far the highlight of this event. The haunted houses are good. They're not fantastic. They have some really cool moments though, which is awesome. The it I think I also really like the culture of the Japanese people that attend. So I'm a photography nerd. Billy knows that. I will talk to him his little ear off about gear, and so many people have like nice like mirrorless like DSLR setups that
Ooh,
walk around and take pictures, and I would make so many friends in Japan for sure. If I lived there, like it's like a super like strong like photography culture, which is super cool. Um,
2026 goals.
right, right. Um, but yeah, it's not for me. The scare zone focus and the lack of like scares and props in the scare zone, and I think more than anything else, this event, it is too crowded. Like it is to the point of not being fun because it is so crowded, and like it's so hot and it's so stuffy, and like I'm going in October. It's not like I'm going in like July.
Right.
Um and it's like, yeah, there are points where I just, have to just like get away from like shoulder to shoulder people the entire time, and it just kind of dulls the enjoyment of the event. It gets right up to the point of like, why am I here? I enjoy it, but it's close. So yeah, but I'm glad I did it. I'll do it again next year, and fingers crossed they get rid of Chucky, replace it with something good, and then keep at least two houses. Yeah,
1.5.
two, probably 1.5, maybe. I don't know. Depends on how you consider it, but better than last year.
Right.
So yeah, cool. Okay, I think that'll finish our coverage of USJ, the Halloween Horror Nights at Universal Studios Japan in Osaka. Now we'll wrap this up by talking about any plugs that we want to do for the stuff we've made. Billy had a very exciting release this week. Billy, why don't you tell me
Yes, I
about
did.
what you made?
The HHN countdown is back. Episode
Yeah.
5 is live right now.
Hmm.
I'm about to head straight into doing a live stream, also talking about the exciting HHN announcements that we got at MegaCon today with Jack and Oddfellow, which I see peeking in the poster right behind Josh there. It's been a teaser all along. Um,
I knew it
yeah,
was coming. There was a hint.
the world is our oyster now. So anything you guys want to talk about or any episodes you guys want to see, let us know. I mean, we have 800,000 different ideas, but we also want to know what your 800,000 ideas are. So that
Right.
way we can make 100 or 1,600,000 videos, podcast
Right.
episodes.
Right.
All right. What about you, Josh? What you got to plug?
Oh, absolutely nothing. Yeah, starting a new team at work still, for like I have been for the past month or two. Still getting onboarded and everything. Haven't had a ton of time, but I got my Mac back from being serviced, and I can bring it to work, and I can use some downtime at work to hopefully get a little bit done, and get some of this footage out from like Japan and other places. So yeah, cool. I think that'll wrap up our episode for the day. We should be under an hour, which is
Yeah.
great.
Let's
Um,
go.
yeah, next one we'll record maybe in 2 weeks, maybe in 3 weeks, and we'll start talking about what's upcoming instead of what has happened in the past.
Yeah. Let's do it. I can't wait.
All right, sounds good. All right, we will talk to you next episode.
I'll see you, Josh.
All right, bye.